What is going on, Chris? I believe we are live. I believe you can hear me. I can see you. You're beautiful as always. I figured if I did that, it would throw you off. I'm okay. How are you? It is. It is 100. It's pretty crazy. Stuff. It's been awful. I mean, well, we were doing this before. Yeah, we were doing this before we were together as a channel. So so can't hear. Can't hear. What can't you hear? Hmm. Everything looks good on my end. We can't hear Chris's voice. Hey, Chris, talk. No, you can't hear Chris's voice. All right, hold on a second, guys. I tested it. Give me 2 seconds. We'll fix this right now. Oh my god. Episode 100, boys and girls. How did I fix this last time? Oh my god. Come on, Ryan. Advanced properties. Chris, talk. Oh my god. Chris, talk. Nope, not good. Not good. Hold on a second, guys. I'll be right back. It's getting hot in here. We will do a do-over, Chris, because hold on. Why isn't this not working? Default. Oh, I got it. Ready? Talk, Chris. That's not working. What the heck? That should have worked. Okay, hold on. One more time. Talk, Chris.
Hey, you
Hey,
got it. You got it.
We got it.
Can you guys hear us? Speaking, it's funny that Technoglitch has said "Happy Holidays" because glitch is the theme of this episode.
Oh,
Guys,
I'll
let's
never
be
get
honest.
it right. I will never get it
guys.
right.
It wouldn't be the 100th episode if we didn't launch like this. I feel, I even thought of it launching. I'm like, hey, we should just like completely screw at the beginning because it's we don't want to start something new.
Remember how before we used to start the episode off with a joke? Now we just start off with a technical issue every time. That's just the way we do it now.
Oh yeah, so what you're saying is we start off with a joke. You! Anyways, guys, Merry Christmas. This is what I was starting to say, and all you heard was Ryan's, is this is a very momentous episode. This is 100 episodes of us, this fool and I, talking to you guys about VR. It's been awesome. It's been fun. It's been, 3 years? That's what we were saying. Yeah, and it's the end of the year, so it just seems perfect. I mean, we couldn't have timed it any more. It's like we almost planned it, and we totally
except
we
you know
totally
damn
did
well.
not.
There's no way we have that our shit that together that much. There's no way.
Yeah, Techno, I totally blame you. It's not Ryan's fault. It's your fault. Guys, welcome. And to our patrons, you guys are awesome. We got to kick that off. The other thing we'll just mention right off the hop here, in case you guys missed the episode last time, we have Quest affiliate links, like Meta affiliate links. And if you guys are thinking of buying a Quest for someone, yourself or somebody else for Christmas or after Christmas, there's affiliate links in the notes below, I believe. And you get some money off on a Quest. We get some money back too. So it's obviously kind of a win-win. But also, if you guys want a discount on any of the games, leave a comment as well. We'll try to get you a link to get that discounted on the games. That's just a thing we can do right now up until Christmas, I believe. But
on that note, we're going to be giving away a bunch of games throughout this episode as well. PSVR, PCVR, and Quest. Not a ton of PSVR 2 codes, unfortunately, but a ton of Quest 2 and honestly endless PC codes.
They just, like PSVR 2 codes are just not handed out like the rest of the codes. I'm not sure if that's has something to do with maybe how Sony issues codes. I think they have to pay for them. I don't know exactly how it all goes behind the scenes, but all I know is that we get it's obviously just less games too, but we get Meta developers just emailing us. They don't even send us codes. They're just like so yeah, a lot more codes to go around on that side of things. But anyways, let's just kick things off, guys. It's 2024, the end of the year, and Ryan and I wanted to finish out this calendar year, and I guess obviously the 100th episode with a lot of game giveaways, like Ryan said, and also a recap of 2024, the things we loved, the things we hated, and just just it's been a pretty good year for VR, I would say. I would say it's the strongest fall into the holiday season that I've probably ever seen in VR. I would say. I think that's fair to say. And
I would definitely agree with that.
I mean, and I would say out of the big four, Batman, Metro, Behemoth, and Alien, I would say for the most part, they all delivered.
I'm struggling aliens right now. I'm struggling.
Struggling as in you suck, or struggling you don't
stuck.
like it?
I'm stuck, and the loop of aliens coming every like 2 minutes, the same like
Yep.
you can see where the game loop is just kicking in, where it's like I've been in an area too long, so it's just like, oh, he's not doing anything. We'll just send 2 more aliens. Like kill those 2 aliens, and I still can't figure out what to do. And then it's like, oh, 2 more aliens, and then I still can't figure out what to do. Like I'm trying to get this badge like clearance thing. I'm not stuck. I got stuck at this moment, and I literally had to stop playing. But it was in this loop of like where I could see the loop where they were just like respawning.
Yep.
Where I was like, oh, I see people complain about this, and this is definitely an issue.
Well, there's two things happening, I think. So one thing somebody commented on in the video today said, because I had said that I thought the Alien AI was really good, and I still stand by that. But the one thing I should clarify, and he said, like, you know, it's kind of a little bit video gamey in the fact that Alien Isolation, it was like one alien, and they really focused on it feeling like kind of a living cat and mouse situation between you and the alien. That's not this game. When I meant the Alien AI was great, I meant like their combat AI. Like to watch how they moved and dodged, and the way they'd crawl in and out of things, and the way that they would find a way to you. And the game kind of has a trade-off between scripted moments to try to give you that cinematic holy crap, like there's times when it's like absolutely trying to give you a wow moment, and then there's like the regular combat moments, and I thought it did a really good job of those combat moments. Now the second part of that is that it's kind of nonstop, and I wish I'd touched more on that in my review, and I didn't. I was also kind of pounding through the game, so I was just like I wasn't really dilly-dallying around. I was kind of like really pushing forward, key card, grab this, get this ammo up, keep going. And like if you're in the mood for it, like it's like nonstop. And I also said it in one of my comments, and I wish I'd also included in the review. I remember
in your 20-minute review, how'd you miss covering anything in 20 minutes?
You'd be surprised, buddy. We're working on 45-minute reviews next year. No, it was just that it's more the time away from the game and reading comments. I was kind of like, yeah, you know what? That's right. I should have said that. Mm-hmm. And the one thing, because like you're kind of in it, right? You're just it's just like the problem is that when we get codes last minute, there's no time to sit with a game, because sometimes it would be nice to review it or sit with it and then go back and edit before you kind of cut it finally. And I think one of the things that would have made the cut if I'd said it wouldn't have changed my review, I don't think, but I wish the game had a little more ebb and flow. One of the things the developer said, if you remember this, is that, and it scared us when we heard it, was that the game was great for like pick up and play for like a 15-minute session or a 20-minute session or something, and then putting it down. We're like, oh god, like what does that mean? Like, because we're looking for a full experience. Now that I played the game, I can see that for two reasons. One, the panic rooms break it up. Like you can push through, save, and then put it down. And also that as the game currently stands, it's better in shorter doses. Like I would say the game plays best at a half hour. Play a half hour, put it down. Play a half hour, put it down. Because it's concentrated. Like it definitely knows what it's trying to be something. It's trying to be like the Aliens experience, with the focus being on the action parts of those movies. Now that being said, I will tell you guys, full transparency, I talked to the developers after my review went out. I was really cool. I got a chance to speak to the lead and co-lead directors of the game. really neat experience because the one guy, the lead director, was like I believe he's one of the founders of Survios. Really cool. I got to kind of just like thank him for all the great experiences, tell him that I thought Survios lost their way, and I also got to tell him that I thought Electronauts was the greatest game ever made in VR. Woo! But
Loser.
somebody on X said that they thought my review was great despite my lack of credibility for loving Electronauts. I was like, boo! But anyway, one of the interesting things that came out of that comment was that the team is actively working on, like there's a big push. Their number one priority, he said, outside of fixing jank and just troubleshooting some things here and there, is adjusting alien behavior so that there's a little more ebb and flow. Like he said, and I agreed with him. I said, I love the fact that you never feel safe. I like that. Unlike Alien Isolation, which that felt the same way, you could never fight back. So you can always fight back here, which I like. But just the fan is the finding that balance. He said they're aiming for a little more nuance, so that it just ebbs and flows. Like you can get caught up. Like the quieter parts of the game are going to be more pronounced, so that the action parts hit harder, and you're not out of an interaction and then just boom, another one and another one and another one. And I think that'll really help it feel like less of a wave shooter. Like it's not, but it can feel like it when you like finish a group and then it's again and again. It's not always like that though, and I should mention that to you guys watching this. If you're just starting out, it's not always like that. I guess to you too, Ryan. Like as you get further into the campaign, there are parts where it, especially like where it takes a minute for a story beat. But it's definitely got its what is it? Its foot on the gas. And I think that they're very aware of the fact that there's a little bit of balancing going there. So I still stand by what I said in my review. I gave it a pretty good review, knowing there was some patches coming for the jank that I was complaining about. So you guys should probably be playing a version without some of that crap right now, because I think the patch went live. So I'm curious to know what people think of that. But also just the fact that, like I said in the end of my review, my recommendation is it's a great game. I would absolutely buy it, but I would wait. I would wait a week or two. Maybe buy it. Sure, fine, whatever. But just wait. Just wait a couple weeks, because it's so good that I feel like, I would even wait till mid-January. Mid-January, this game's going to be rocking.
You say?
Rocking.
I'm not hating my time with it. I just hit a little snag there, but I love the way they run across the ceilings. When you first see one appear in the distance, all you see is like its little shadow or its tail, and then it disappears somewhere, and you're like, okay, like where'd he go? Like, is the game screwing with me? Is it going to just disappear? Is he coming? Like, there's some really cool, like they really did capture the vibe of like the opening moments of Aliens, almost like not quite the full blown action bits, but like shit's awry, like they're here, like
I think that's what people want a little more of, just a little more of that. And from what I gathered is it's a priority, but they're also not gonna. It's not something they can just like slam out. It's coming soonish, but I think that like the more I thought about that, I'm like, they got to be careful, because you can't just like add more time in between aliens attacking. It would it would change the difficulty of the game. Like it's going to require a little bit of tweaking, right, to get the right feeling. Another thing they could try doing is having like two different modes. Like one is a more like not a change in difficulty, but a change in like the tone that you're going for, because some people are just going to want that balls out. And
what I should ask you, I know you normally do, but what difficulty you play this on? Is there a
normal
difficulty option?
Okay. Yeah, I played it. So here's the thing. I almost always play just about every game on hard.
Yeah, that's why I asked.
And I started it on hard, and it's freaking hard. Like I was like even for reviews, I punish myself. Like Metro, I played on hard, even though it's gonna make it slower for me to go through. It's like, well, it's my playthrough. Like, it's like I want to play it on hard. I want the ammo to be like count. I want it to be. I want every shot to. I like that. I'm really glad I played Metro on hard, because I don't know if it's been tweaked now, but that game was way too easy on normal. Batman, I thought, was good on hard. I liked it. It became quite the workout. But Alien was hard. aliens. It's not so much that they throw more aliens at you, although they do. I actually noticed because I played a little bit in the beginning and hard, and there were a couple. Like I noticed that I got an extra alien or two here and there. I would say they're a little bit spongier, little more squishy, and but yeah, I haven't played a lot with hard because it was hard. It was really hard, and normal felt hard. Like normal, even on normal, if you don't watch your shots, like I said in the review, like you got
Yeah, I came close to running an ammo there.
but
For one point already.
Here's my big thing that I would recommend to people. You got Davis 01, your synthetic droid counterpart, and
Let him shoot.
yeah, seriously. I mean, the AI in him is a little and the aliens are a little when it comes to interacting with him. But he's got a shotgun, and sometimes if you just wait and watch, it, like I said, they'll stare at each other, like they don't know what to do with each other until you engage. But a lot of times I would like fire a shot off and let him finish them. Just keep my ammo a little bit, but like you got a lot of ammo in the beginning. Like I was maxed out on ammo, and then I was hungry for it.
Mm-hmm.
So as the game starts to the difficulty spikes, you start to run out. And anyways, I don't want to ruin too much. It's just I'm just all I'm saying to guys is that I've talked to the developers, and there are some patches on the way, and a few I can't really talk about. But if you happen to own a PS5 Pro, then maybe wait. But anyway,
So I mean, I said watch Chris's review. It's very thorough. And overall he enjoyed the game. Did I ask you to play Subside? Did you play Subside or no?
I didn't.
You didn't, you son
But
of?
I watched your review. Does that count?
I mean, sure, we'll count that.
I
Man, I wanted your thoughts on the whole experience and whether it's like, it's that battle, it's the kayak VR thing all over again, but even kind of less so, just because the game is, for those that don't know, the game is beautiful. If you have a PS5 Pro, you basically get the maxed out PC version, and with the dynamic full view rendering and everything else, like the developer told me specifically, he feels like the game looks better on PS5, even base PS5, than on a maxed out PC.
And unlike Kayak VR Mirage, although it got patched, does Kayak VR Mirage have no? It only got the native mode on the Pro, right?
Yeah.
Whereas Subside has a native with the using dynamic full view rendering 90 native on the standard, right? So
yeah, and they increased the resolution's jacked up by 15% on the Pro, I think, if I recall what he said correctly off the top of my head. And you get the dynamic shadows as well, which is it's something you actually do notice when I hop from PC to PSVR. I only have the base PS5. You do notice the dynamic shadows, and it does add that even extra level. Like I didn't know I was missing it till I saw it, and I was like, ooh, I kind of want a Pro right now. And now these games are kind of becoming more and more Pro focused. Now we're seeing more games seem to have Pro in the pipeline in regards to patches or releases on the Pro. I'm kind of leaning more towards.
Like, can we talk about Arcanage?
I mean, you just talking about, have you played it?
No, can we talk about the patch or like about the Pro support?
I don't know. So no, I guess I don't have an answer for you off the top of my head.
Okay. There may or may not be a Pro patch. I would say, look, okay, I'm not going to go into details, guys, but Arcanage, he gave us some specifics about how it would affect resolution. The game's going to have a native mode and a reprojected mode, so you can kind of choose what you want. If you go with reprojections, you get more resolution, and the Pro patch is going to bump up the resolution on both versions of, like, on both sides of that. So again, if you have a Pro, you're going to get a higher resolution reprojected and a higher resolution native, and so you can kind of choose. And it's just nice to see, and that's why I'm mentioning it without going into specifics. I just wanted to kind of put it out there for people who are like us. We never bought a Pro, and I am starting to feel like I want a Pro.
Yeah.
Right, because it's like we're getting confirmation, and like from other developers
If
Just
anyone
for
out there
real.
can give us $2,000 Canadian so we can go get pros, that would be fantastic.
Yeah, would you? Yeah, would you get on that? Where's Salvador? Salvador's
Where is
good. Salvador,
it?
you're good for that,
But
right,
yeah,
buddy?
no joke.
uh,
I am starting to feel, considering the lack of hype behind pro support for VR titles, I was like, nope, not doing it. But it really does seem like Sony kind of underplayed that. And I'm assuming it's honestly just like miscommunication or lack of communication rather between them and developers, because it seems like a lot of developers, even games that like aren't pro supported, seem to be getting resolution boosts and everything else just because of performance. So it's kind of making me think that I should be pulling the trigger on this sooner than later, even just for like side by sides and whatnot, just because there does seem to be some
I know
differences, right?
we
Enough
gotta play
differences
the
to be
best,
like,
right?
you know.
Yep. I mean, that's the
So
thing. We really. That's yeah. I was just gonna say, like, I feel like, especially from a channel point of view, it's like, well, we have to, because we have to know, like, if it's the best. But we'll see. Speaking of pulling the trigger, we got some codes coming here. We got
I've been doing codes. You
Okay,
leave me
good.
alone.
I just see Starwave there. It's been a while.
It's been like 3 minutes, man, and distracted. I would love to do trivia, but this is the easiest way to do codes without interrupting the conversation. And doing it in chat also isn't fair, we determine, because then guys because it's
Well, the
unfortunately
problem
now
with
this is the
trivia is it then it distracts us.
us. Yeah, that's the problem with that. And I'm already distracted as it is. So adding
And
more
I
to my
mean,
plate is a nightmare.
and I would love to do trivia and then just say email us, and the first one to email and it gets it right. But it's
No,
just like,
no, I'm
I
saying
know,
no to that
like,
right
that's what
now.
and it's like, guys, and I will say, like, look, I wanted to be the first to say is that I'm sorry we didn't do a Shugmas this year, guys. I don't think we did one last year either.
You're not.
And this year it's just been like, it's been crazy, and it's super time consuming for me, not just to make the episodes, but on the other end of it, I'm emailing and picking picking what everybody wants, and the back and forth and the back and forth while we get everything together. It's just, I want to do it. We're gonna do it. If we don't do it next year for Christmas, then we'll find some other way to do it. But we still want to really do that give back. I mean, that's why right now we're trying.
In
to
our
do some
defense,
codes
we've
away.
given away a lot of games this year on the
Yeah.
pod.
Well, which is why we want to give away some bangers today. Galaxy Kart wouldn't necessarily be what I'd consider a banger, but there's good codes, guys. I promise.
Trust me.
So
I can't do all the bangers here. We got lots of good codes, and you know, and you know what? In Galaxy Kart's defense, if you guys haven't seen this thing in a long time, I mean, the Quest version is the same as the PSVR version, and it's gotten a lot of updates, a lot more tracks. It's actually pretty decent for the price you get. I'm not gonna say it's
better.
Mario Kart like on the same level, but it's. I was surprised at just kind of how good it's gotten.
I still don't think it's as good as Dash Dash World, but Dash Dash World's just dead, right? And I don't know, I don't even know if the servers are online. It's been a while since I played that. But let's say Dash Dash World, when it had it with its like I don't even know what they called them, but like their advanced courses, was the closest I've ever seen to like Diddy Kong Racing, Mario Kart. Like there was some really good courses. They were fun. But anyways, let's talk about the big four. Let's talk about the big four. Let's just kick her off. And that is, like I said, that's Batman. That started everything off. Then we had Metro. Then we had Behemoth. Then we had Alien. What do you want to do? You want to talk about them as a whole? You want to talk about them individually?
I mean, you talk about, I think, as a whole. I mean, it's hard to bounce back and forth. Like, you've actually played, I think, all these more thoroughly than I have, ironically enough, because you reviewed. I mean, I guess I played Behemoth a fair bit. Aliens, I've dabbled in all of them. Honestly, my to-do list for the holidays when we're off is to actually go through and beat these gems. I've sampled them. I've played them enough to talk about them. Obviously, I'm not like a, but I mean, to me, okay, I'll just start this conversation. To me, I think Batman is still. I mean, Batman won Game of the Year for good reason, and I mean, I don't really the VR awards or the awards show rather. I typically don't agree with a lot of the games they pick and choose the list. I think just a lot of games go under the radar, or just it's like a popularity contest. I mean, award shows in general tend to kind of fall into like a popularity contest, especially for games that skew newer. That being said, I think Batman deserved to win VR Game of the Year. It was everything we wanted from that game, and in some cases more. Like, it translated the flat Arkham games like near flawlessly to VR. When we talk about these transitions from third to first person, stuff like what we've seen with Resident Evil, series in VR. Like it was so cool to see them nail third person combat in first person and still make it feel like an Arkham game. It wasn't like, it wasn't a full
Yep.
free for all like boxing game, but we didn't want that. You wanted to feel like a badass, not be fumbling with like wonky physics or any kind of weird jank. And to me, camouflage, and I guess meta by proxy, just because they own camouflage, they nailed it out of the park, man. I can't believe like how solid of a game that was. I know people complain that it could be bigger and better in regards to just the fact it's more corridory than like the latter Arkham games especially, but to me they really nailed especially Arkham Asylum. They nailed that kind of feeling, especially even the claustrophobia of the asylum at times, or the prison rather. I just thought it worked well, and I know like we want like 30-hour or whatever Arkham games, or whatever, and all the things. I understand why they scale these things back for VR, because there's still issues with motion sickness and everything else, and people cry about just about everything they can when it comes to like VR and just the troubles with VR and immersion. So I feel making these games, translating these bigger flat games to slightly shorter VR games, kind of makes sense. And for me, it was having not beat it so far, it's been an absolute delight to play through. I enjoy every time I hop on and I feel like Batman, and that's enough for me. I feel like Batman. That's great.
Yeah. One of the things that all four games have going for it, I'm just here, I'm listening to you. One of the things all four games have going for them, and why it's such a big deal, I think, is that all four are only in VR.
Mhm.
They're some of them are riffs on IPs, right? But like if you're an Arkham fan, it's gonna bug you that you can't play. Like you're gonna want to buy a headset for this game. If you're a Metro fan, it's gonna bug you. It's like, now, are they good enough? Like, I don't know. That's not what I'm getting. That's not really my point. But it's like, but I would say they're all good enough to bug someone, like to irk them. Like,
Yeah.
it's a new Metro game. It looks awesome, and I can't. I need to buy a VR headset, and that's what we needed. Behemoth.
Oh yeah.
Behemoth is kind of the outlier in that it's an original IP, but I feel like, yeah, but it also looks good enough to make someone go, damn it, like that looks really good, like, and that looks like VR's where I wanted it to start to get to, right? And then Alien Rogue Incursion, again, it's like it's a known IP, and if you're a big Alien fan, like it's good. Like if I was not a VR guy, I'm a big Alien guy. I love the Alien games. Like a lot of them, like Alien versus Predator, even like the newest one, the Fireteam Elite, and then going back to like Alien Trilogy, and even Colonial Marines, the one that's like everyone hates. I was such a big Alien fan. I still just liked it.
I love the fact that gaming culture, but I only ever like recently learned about that game. So I mean, I knew it was just destroyed when it launched, but the fact the AI is busted, but you can fix it on PC by just changing like one line of code. It's hilarious. For those that don't know, yeah, Fireteam, like I guess the aliens are just behave like idiots in that game. And depending on the Steam version, you can go into like the whatever file and just change like an exclamation mark to a 1 or something like that, and that fixes alien AI.
There's some stuff. Yeah, I remember reading that. And there's also like some mods that people have done to kind of fix it even beyond that. But anyways, regardless, I just saying that like Alien Rogue Incursion is going to bug people. Like it, especially if you're an Alien fan, it's kind of like, is it good enough to buy a headset just on its own? Is it a headset seller? No, I don't think it is. I don't think Behemoth is a headset seller. I don't think Metro's a headset seller on their own. Batman is a headset seller. Batman is Meta's GoldenEye right now.
And what I was going to say to your point is the fact that all these games are available on, I mean, Quest 3, but the Quest platform, but Quest 3. And to me, that's really impressive. I understand you're not getting the best version of those games, minus Batman, of course. But the fact all three, I've played Behemoth, I've played Metro, and then Alien, I guess, is coming next year for Quest. But assuming that Survios does deliver a comparative experience, obviously we're not going to get like, considering the PC specs for the maxed out experience for Aliens, we're not going to get like that level, but if they can get close, if they can get to the same level as Metro or
I
even
think that's
Behemoth, comparatively
I think
speaking,
I think Metro is probably the fair standard of where they
for
could go.
sure. But if they can deliver an experience akin to that, then honestly, like I said, like the Quest 3 is impressing me. I just didn't think it was capable of what it's doing. And Batman's the best example of that just because it was built for the Quest 3 specifically. But man, I wouldn't have thought 3 years ago that standalone VR gaming would be where it's at even now.
It's
Even
definitely
with,
getting there. It's getting there. Yeah.
and obviously it'll never be, I should say it'll never be. I mean, as long as there's consoles and PCs out there, it'll never be to that level. But I think it's at a
Well,
level now where I
cloud.
can show. Sorry.
When we get to cloud, when we get to a point where cloud gaming is,
Oh, that's gonna change everything.
yeah, you know what I mean, like with no latency and just people's home networks are across the board kind of doing that. Like I have the internet and the router to do it, but not everybody does. But I know a lot of people in Canada at least that have fiber, and it's like it's starting to become the standard, and that's going to change things as these as these uh as these cloud solutions become more viable, and I mean, yeah, that's going to change standalone VR forever. But just sticking on Batman, Distract asked if Batman's is kind of enclosed like Vampire the Masquerade. I actually didn't play Vampire the Masquerade. I can't really comment on that, but it
I
is.
mean, I can.
I know you can.
I'd say it's pretty. It's very similar. I think Batman's a bigger game. Like the corridors, so to speak, are a lot larger. Um, but yeah, I'd say that's a comparative example. I think they're in the same ballpark.
It starts back alley-ish. Literally, you're in the back alleys and on rooftops and stuff. I mean, it's not an open world game like Arkham City was, right? And
But it's bigger. It's bigger than,
but
as
it
I'm
is.
thinking now about Vampire. It is a bigger. Like you're traversing as you travel across the cities and that kind of thing. Even though it is linear, there is bigger set pieces. It's a bigger game than Vampire. Yes, bigger, definitely.
It is you can tell that it was a highly focused game where they decided exactly what they wanted to deliver, given the hardware and the budget, and they've been very transparent that this is pretty much it's a prequel to Arkham Asylum, but it really was a follow-up to Arkham Asylum. Like that was the blueprint. They even studied the game's ebb and flow and like its pacing and its upgrade structure and the way it, and just the way the whole campaign played out over like 10 to 12 hours. Like they tried to nail that as their blueprint, and they do. And I think that's why Batman is so impressive in the fact that it doesn't, I mean, yeah, it's not Arkham City, but it also, if you look at it through the Arkham Asylum lens, it doesn't really compromise almost anything. I mean, I'd love to see it on the Quest 4 or the PSVR 2 or the PC, because I'd just love to see it sharper. That was the only thing I ever felt like it was just a little soft. And but other than that, I mean, there's still got dynamic lighting happening. There's still like pretty high end texture work going on. I mean, the animations, the soundtrack, the voice acting's top tier. I mean, it is a AAA VR game. I would say it's where AAA VR is at right now. Batman, I mean, it's the closest we've ever gotten to I say like the Half-Life Alyx conversation. Now, personally, I think Half-Life Alyx is overrated, but I understand that for most people it's still the benchmark, and I would say that this is at least that, if not better. I mean, personally, I think it's a better VR game. It's
Yeah,
not nearly as
I agree
safe
with
as,
that.
as Half-Life Alyx. As far as like Half-Life Alyx feels like a game from 2017, 2018. As far as it's like, we don't want you to go too fast. You're gonna teleport. You can't jump. Like it's a safe game, and it's very linear. Half-Life Alyx, and Batman is like, it's got a full upgrade tree. It's got a full combat tree. It's the full meal deal. It's in a wonderful game, and I think Batman is the game of the year for me. We're gonna do a top game, top games of 2024, probably for the Quest and the PSVR 2. I don't know if we'll do PC. I just don't think there's been enough on there.
I mean, the problem with PC is it's all on PSVR 2 or Quest. Like there's nothing that came out for PC this year outside of what, a racing game, I think maybe.
Yeah, you're right.
No,
There's nothing PC only.
like
Well,
nothing.
that's not true. I'm sure if we went there, I could find some PC only games that were like worth mentioning. Like okay, like WRC for example.
Yeah, I said a racing game.
Oh, Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024.
It doesn't count. It's just Microsoft Flight Simulator.
But I'm just saying, like, there's
Not even a game.
There's been a few games, but nothing great. Nothing nothing I could think of that is PC only, and that's just the world we live in right now. It's just where it is. So Batman to me was incredible, and I know it's been patched since I last played it, and it's
Like,
it is Quest. Sorry, it is Quest Goldeneye. I said that before, but it really is. Like, it's a system seller. It's a reason to buy a headset. I'm a big Batman fan. If I didn't have a Quest 3, I'd be buying a Quest 3 this Christmas. There'd be a Quest 3 under my tree because I'd have to have it.
Like, I know, like, Chris reviewed all these games for the channel, and
I
if you
didn't
watch,
really mean it to turn out like that.
no, it's kind of just the way timing worked out, and fan doing everything else, and plus I was doing side by sides and everything else. We are a team that way. But if you watch Chris's reviews for all four of these games, you can see where Chris is very critical, and he goes through fairly in depth for all these things, and you can see where Aliens where he broke it down, Behemoth where he broke it down, Metro where he broke it down, and how there's just the negatives that, let's say, plague those games, that they're just ever present.
There was a jank. They weren't out of all four of these games, only one was ready to release.
And Batman, the complaints were absolutely minimal. Like, it was a game that just was polished to a point of near perfection, and the game has been patched, I think, twice since launch, and they're big patches.
It had a tendency to crash, at least when I reviewed it, and there were a few times where the frame rate would hiccup, but I was also recording, so it's really hard to tell.
For the record, apparently Quest Games Optimizer, which I have to get into now, also makes the game run even better, and blah 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 blah. Like, I'm gonna start using that, I think, to bypass some issues, because apparently it just makes everything better.
Oh,
the Quest Games Optimizer.
I know, but Ryan, you and I talked about.
I know.
It's scary for people for guys like us who, like, we have to record basically on the Quest 3, and it's like, I don't really know if they're taking that into consideration when we jack it up. I'll give you an example. I'm doing these Horizon vids. Guys, if you're ever at Quest, there's a they have like a in headset kind of YouTube thingy where you can watch a bunch of videos and about the games in the store. And I was recording Golf Plus. Golf Plus has a sliding bar in the graphics setting if you're a Quest 3 user. Quest 2, it's not there, but Quest 3, it's basically a resolution scaler. So, and they don't really say like, hey, just turn this on and it's Quest 3. No, they say you decide what you want. And so the higher up you drag it, the sharper the image gets, but then you might get some ghosting. You might not have the greatest frame. And so I had it kind of set to 125, which was just like, it was like a resolution boost. So, but it still was handling the game well. I started recording today for a Horizon video while playing Golf Plus. Did not like it, and I said to my buddy who I was playing with, I was like, like, I think because the developers of Golf Plus gave you the ability to just kind of experiment with that slider, they were not the Quest 3 was not ready for that, to do both, because you kind of took it to the ceiling with the slider, and I'm gonna guess there's some headroom given to games for recording. That has to be so. Anyway, next up, I guess in order would be Metro, and I would say,
what perfect timing! I'm going to give away a code for Metro on the Quest right now.
Woo! Which has crossplay if you have PC.
Does it?
It does.
I don't think I knew that, or at least I forgot it if it did.
It does cross buy, so you get the PC version too. I think Behemoth does as well.
Behemoth definitely does. Oh, I shouldn't say that.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, Behemoth does. Behemoth totally does. Yes, it does.
Yeah.
Nah.
Right. Metro. I mean, Metro would probably be the next polished title. In that, you know what? I'd actually say Metro is probably the most polished, actually, out of all four. To be honest with you, Batman had a few issues, like the crashes and some frame drops, right? And Metro, Really didn't have.
Like I said, I know, like I know, but Batman has been patched, big patches twice now since
I know.
launch.
Yeah, of course, right? I'm just more talking about like
Yeah,
what hit the
no,
ground running, and both Batman and Metro kind of like were like out ahead of time. You know what I mean? Like they didn't. I never got the feeling that they were trying to make a Christmas date. Behemoth and especially Alien. Yeah, yeah. I mean, do we even have to talk about the whole Alien thing? I mean, it's a little shady that they didn't mention that it was part one of two at all,
that's crazy. That is
right? Like
that is
it's like.
so
And
crazy.
I even talked to the co-lead and the lead director like the day before it was
I should know
launching,
this. How much is Alien? How much is the retail for Alien?
$39.99 US.
$40. And
Which
how
I
long
think
did you say
is
the campaign was?
it depends how you play it. Depends how you play it.
Ish,
What?
ish. How long ish?
6 to 8 hours?
I mean, it's on point price wise,
I agree. I
but
agree. Like I
yeah,
mean,
but hiding behind it being not being part one is definitely that's a shady move for
and I
sure.
mean some people are getting 10 hours out of it. I mean it depends how you play it, right? And how much you suck. And and it's on a bit of a cliffhanger, but it does feel like a natural cliffhanger. I don't feel like they're trying. I don't feel like they're pulling a fast one on people, other than the fact that they weren't transparent with it. If they were upfront about it right off the hop, it would have been just fine, I think. And but
Well,
like
it begs the question though. It's like when's part two coming? Is and that there's no answer on that, right? We don't have a like. There's no like, oh, it's coming
nope,
2025.
no,
That's scary because I mean, not to say, I mean, I'm sure it'll be a faster turnaround just because they've been working on this game for like over 2 years now, and all the whatever all the engine stuff's there as long as they're building the game from scratch. But still, it's like, well, how long are we waiting for to finish the story? Because
well, and I can't really shed any light on that. I mean, when I talked to the directors of the game, they were they weren't they weren't being vague necessarily, but they also weren't volunteering information other than the fact that other than it sounded like there might have been a little bit of backing and forthing in the Servio's office with how the communication had been approached around the part one versus part two. So there might have been some conflicting opinions on that. And all they said was that it was being worked on. So what we don't know is that did they chop the game? And I think they might have chopped the game in half to finish it on time. I think that they were. I wonder if they were looking at it going like. I mean, you start looking at things. It's like, oh, the Quest version now is not coming out till January, but it was originally gonna all three. Then it's like now it's part one of two. And why would you hold that? Like, why would you surprise people with a part one of two? Like, I don't know. And I can't. I have no extra information really, other than the fact that they were just like, yeah, surprise. And I still think it's worth $39.99 US. I do. I do. I mean, it's a very high end looking game. It's just a little shady. And I straight up told them when I had them on Discord chat, I said, the optics of it, I said, as VR gamers, we have a bit of a gag reflex when it comes to part one of a game. I'm like, we're used to that, meaning we're not getting part two, and it's half the game. Like we're used to that. We can probably all count on
I
almost.
mean, it is
hands.
less so now, but I mean, this is
Yeah.
especially during the first few years of PSVR 2 when every game was a part one or whatever and never got a sequel. It's less so now. I mean, we're seeing threequels now, so it's an issue that is going away. But I'm not. I hear you, man. And I almost like what you just said alone is almost probably the reason why they were like no part one. Like you're really almost defending them in a way where it's just
No,
like, yeah,
but
we
it's
don't say anything.
I know it is, but it's worse. No, but it's that whole thing. It's like getting caught in
I
a
know.
lie.
Oh
Like
yeah, I know. I
it's
get it.
almost worse.
Yeah.
Like the fact that even Nathy pointed out that they like changed the wording in the Steam release. Like they actually
Oh really?
rewrote. Yeah, like it's like it feels like a last minute decision. I mean, I don't know. I mean, who
That's
knows?
funny.
Who knows? Again, when the conversation I had with them, I can't even tell you if this was always the plan. Like this could be the full game, and it was always designed to end on a cliffhanger so they could do a part two. I mean, I'm not. I don't know. I'm not. I have no idea if this game was chopped in half, like at some point halfway, or if it's unfinished. It's like it feels like a complete experience. Like it doesn't feel like all of a sudden it just ends. Like for example, like we were talking about it in an episode or two ago. Um, oh my god, what we were just talking about. Oh, that stupid game, that shooter on PSVR 1. Um Legacy, something Legacy,
Immortal Legacy, the Jade
Immortal
Cipher.
Legacy. That does end where you're like, what? Where's the rest of the
Oh
game?
yeah, yeah.
Right? I don't get that. I wouldn't say I got that sense with this game. But anyway, I didn't mean to get back on the Alien thing.
We're supposed to look back at this year, and we keep focusing on 4 games.
Well, we will. I look. I just wanted to say Metro. I thought, as I didn't really, other than the fact that I thought it was the most polished of the games. Um, I don't necessarily saying it's the best of the 4 either, or the second best. I'm not really. I don't even know if I made up my mind on that, to be completely honest with you. But I feel like Metro exceeded my expectations of what I thought it was going to be. Is that like that's such a non-committal answer? Because, but I would say that like because I was like kind of like, can they do this? Can they deliver? Here's the theme that I would say it is really nice to say that I would say 3 of the 4 games all felt like a really big level up for these studios. In the fact that
Okay.
like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I look at Batman, it's like, yeah, Iron Man VR was good. Batman's better.
Oh yeah. No, I definitely go with that.
Metro, it's like Arizona Sunshine and After the Fall are good games. Metro's better. It's a level. It feels like a big quality level up for them. Alien is Servios coming back to like being a respectable VR company. I'm sorry, but it is. Issues,
Dude, do not besmirch the good game that is Puzzle Bobble. Do not do it. VR.
When I talked to them, when I talked to the 2 leads, I straight up said to them that I thought that they lost their way. I told, and they were kind of like, yeah. And I was like, yeah. I said, I'm like, Walking Dead Onslaught was a misstep. I'm like, it felt like it didn't know what it wanted to be, and they didn't push back on that. They were like, but so it was fun. It was a fun conversation because I got to kind of like I was pretty straight with them, and I also I sucked their dicks a little bit. I mean I told them how much I liked some of their games, but just the tip.
Good job.
I know how divisive this is, but Behemoth, I feel like that's not up to Skydance's quality that they set with the Walking Dead games. I mean, let's be honest, Walking Dead Retribution was a rough start, especially on Quest 3. But I mean, if judging it where it is now, like on the PS4 2 and the PC, I would say it's it's in line with the first one. And Behemoth to me, just it wouldn't be the game that I'd use as my flagship title if I was Skydance. That's I know that's a divisive comment. I mean, I've got a lot of pushback on my review.
I'm still playing through Behemoth. I'm enjoying it, but I'm definitely, like I've said last time before, like the combat's getting to me a little bit where I just don't care about the mundane encounters anymore. They're just not fun. This is not fun. They're just in the way of the fun, rather. Where it's just I just want to get to the epic moments and the big stuff.
Maybe it just depends on what you. I mean, look, reviews are always subjective, and I'll be the first to admit that. And it did dawn on me when I was playing Alien, and as I was like, I guess it kind of depends on what you like and what you want and what does it for you, right? And like SS says, you just got to get good. There's probably some of that, but I didn't want to play it enough to get good. Like I was just like I don't like I was playing it to push through for the review, but I just like again, you got to remember guys, we were playing pre-patched. It was in a much rougher state when we got it, which is like really frustrating that they're like, here's the game, review it. And it's like, we know it's screwed. Like they're telling us there's a day 1 patch. It's like, all right, are you sure you want? Okay, we're gonna review it. Like this is what you're gonna get. But back to my original comment, it 100% has a little bit to do is like what does it for you. Like I'm not a huge fantasy sword and sandal guy. Like I like chopping off limbs. I like swords. I like pulse rifles a lot more. I like guns a lot more than I like a sword. And so you're like the combat's getting boring. I don't care enough. I just want the epic shit. I agree. But like I was dawned on me while I'm playing Alien. I'm like, yeah, I probably shot like 100 or 200 xenomorphs, and I'm not done with that yet. But I could see a lot of people after shooting 10 of them going, Like, I'm kind of done with this.
Well, when
Like,
they stand up, it's
man in a suit, but that's how it's supposed to be, right?
yeah, right.
So, um, but you know what I'm saying? Like, it kind of, I'll agree. I will totally agree that I almost can't even defend it. Like, if you want to sit there and just really, that's really your thing. You just kind of want to get into, and obviously you got to, if you want to plug in with the way the game wants you to play it, it's gonna do a lot more for you. And like, I guess, yeah, I give Aliens more of a pass because I got a freaking pulse rifle in my hand, and it's just like it's like, I'm like, it's just like little kid Chris is just like, ah, as it's like, it's like, like, I'm just sitting there with this like massive boner, and I'm just, ah! Like, it's awesome. Like, this is, like I said in my review, I'm like, this is what VR was for. It's just like, I saw the face huggers, I'm like, nah, on my face, ah. Like, I'm just giving away too much, right? But it's just like, yeah, it does it for me. But I don't know what else to say at this point. That's
We
kind
said
of
all we have to. We've covered
I feel
it
like
all.
we
We're
covered
good.
the
We're
four
good.
games. I feel
Yeah.
like we covered I guess the only thing, not to go too far back, but I feel like I kind of jumped into Behemoth, and I just wanted to say that as a big Metro fan, Metro is very similar to Batman in the fact that it was much more in line with the earlier games in the series. Metro Exodus saw the games, the flat versions of the games, go more open worldy. The maps were bigger, and you could kind of plan how you wanted to go and attack. Whereas the first two games in the Metro series were very linear, down, much more subway based. They went to the surface a bit, but is very like forward facing, as you kind of moved through. And
Mm.
I liked the first two games better. I loved the pacing and the vibe. And although I do not think that Metro in VR was as good as those first two, it was pretty darn close. Um, so hats off for that. But and it stayed in its lane, but it didn't. But at the same time, it also didn't feel like a Sniper Elite moment where I felt like I was getting the experience version of Metro. I truly did feel like I was playing like one of those early Metro, like kind of like Dark Silver. I think is it Dark Silver? Is that the name
Deep
of the
Silver.
Deep Silver, the original developer? It really did kind of feel like they did a VR game that was like part 3 of those, after those first two games. Even if it was slightly, there wasn't the upgrade systems, there weren't as many weapons. If they'd included that, it would have been a full blown part 3, honestly. So I was pretty excited with that. We could talk on and on and on and on, right? But we're like almost 50 minutes in here, and we've talked 4 games. But I mean, what else in 2024 did it for you?
Man, it's funny because I was looking back through this year and it was kind of a slow start. I mean, like, I know Vertigo 2 came out at the very beginning of the year for PSVR 2, and I have a soft spot for Vertigo 2. I know a lot of people, it's kind of more of a divisive game. I know it has that jank factor to it and stuff like that. But for myself, I thought the PSVR 2 port rather was wonderful. I love it. I love the fact that it apes Half-Life as hard as it does. So that one I enjoyed, but it wasn't honestly until I think, looking back, like the first game that kind of blew me away. I mean, we had the cluster that was Bulletstorm, which I know they've patched a bunch since then, but man, that game for myself was brutal when that launched. But honestly, if it wasn't until I think like Max Mustard on Quest was kind of the first time I was like, oh my god, they're having like actual fun in VR. Like VR, like reviewing doesn't feel like work right now. I'm just having fun, just turning my brain off and just doing like traditional 3D platforming action. Of course, Max Mustard came out for PSVR 2 later in the year.
I thought you were
Max Mustard for myself was a pleasant surprise. I have to say, like, I thoroughly enjoyed playing through the game twice. I played through it on PSVR 2 or on Quest, and I played through it again. That's not and on Quest and PSVR 2, and I thought it did a really good job at aping oh, I was going here. Sorry, at aping Astrobot. Sorry,
to talk and give codes out.
I'm trying to load a video up and Windows is fighting me. There we go.
Okay.
No, so I thought I did a wonderful job at I mean, it's an Astrobot clone, and you can say it's not, but it does so many of the similar things. Like he controls so similar the jet boots and everything else.
Well, here's the thing. You said, here's the thing. Sorry to cut you off here, but just to jump in on that quick point, you had said that to me, and I'd played a little bit of Max Mustard because I didn't review it, and I was like, this is not in the Astrobot conversation. I have since played about halfway through the game, and I will say I can see more what you were getting at because they keep throwing neat ideas into the game. Like as you start to get further on, the levels start to become like they have themes. They have like they do, even though you don't have a lot of move sets, the levels themselves continue to be fairly innovative. I still don't think it hits Astro's heights.
No, it doesn't. I'm not saying it does, but I'm saying it's in the conversation.
The closest, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and it does. It apes stuff we've seen from like Mario 3D World. Like it does. I mean, the one thing I guess it doesn't have is its own real identity. Like, you know, we said before, like Max isn't really a great mascot character, and the story in here, there really isn't much of a story going on other than like go and stop the bad guy, and that's essentially the story. And I feel like that's kind of where Max Mustard was its weakest, was that it didn't feel like its own thing. It aped everything else really well. It really was like almost like an homage to 3D platforms, both in VR and not. And I think it did a great job that way. But as far it did lack that personality. Like Max Mustard could have been,
yeah.
And you brought this point up. It's not like this is my own thought.
No,
but Max really isn't much of a character. It's just like it's just a generic mascot. It could be anything.
As generic as it gets, to be honest.
Yeah.
With you. But now that I've played more of it, I will extend that to the game. It's like to the world itself. Like I know the game didn't sell like the developer wanted it to, especially on Quest. And I really do feel like that if they'd had a better mascot that had like actual personality and was voiced, like I guess a lot of mascots don't really talk a lot. But I just still like, I mean, like Astro just had a personality to him. Mario's Mario. Sonic had a lot of like. I always thought Sonic was the cool mascot. Like I always thought Mario was kind of like stupid.
I get it.
I'm trying to dance around another word that I was going to use, but Mario was always kind of like wimpy, and so like as much as I like the game, Sonic was like a little kid. Chris was like Sonic's cool. Like I want to be Sonic. I don't want to be Mario.
Yeah.
Crash was kind of had more of the Sonic attitude, you know, and then it goes on and on and on, right, to these mascots, right? But Max Mustard is just generic. And I mean, I don't like, she has no real personality. Like even as simple as like some of these games, like, you know, where you look at them and then they kind of go like this and you can pound even like Ven had more personality. She sucked. But it's not just that, but her whole world feels generic. Like if they reskin the whole game with just more innovation, like even the characters, they're just like, oh, and that's the guy that spins. Like it was just so generic that it was like if all the mechanics were the same and they just reskin the whole thing to have personality, I really feel like it would have done better. And so that's frustrating. You know, like does Moss have the same problem? No. Quill's amazing. I mean,
everyone loves Quill.
And the way she interacted with you, she was heartfelt. She was sassy. She made you feel like you were a team. I mean, it was exactly what Max was missing. But you know, when you said Max Mustard as the first game that kind of like you were like, holy crap, I thought you were going to say Madison.
No, Madison was close, but Madison was still, I believe, a month later.
Okay.
And Madison was also like Overdark. Overdark came out in there. I think Overdark deserves a mention for those guys that like puzzle horror games. But if you had to pick between the two, then Madison blows pretty much everything out of the water. Madison was next level. Like I said before, I said in my review, Madison is the scariest game in my entire life I've ever played. I don't scare easy, and I'm not bragging like this is like my badge of honor here. I would love to be more scared by scary things. That's the whole point of being scared. So the fact that Madison hit me the way that it did, just impressed the hell out of me. I couldn't believe, like, one, it looks absolutely amazing on PSVR 2, and it is coming to Quest at some point in time. I'm really curious to see how that's going to translate, because, I mean, part of it being so scary was the fact that it went for the realistic visuals. And I know it's a really dark game. It's also like just in a house. Like it does lend itself, I shouldn't say just in the house, but it does actually lend itself to kind of maximizing what the Quest 3 can do, even with lighting effects and stuff. I mean, considering what we saw in Batman on these large open, bigger worlds or bigger like cityscapes and whatnot, like confining Madison into a house more or less should make it look pretty damn good on the Quest 3. I don't know if it's coming to the Quest 2 or not. I can't recall offhand. But yeah, Madison was, man, it's so good. It's paced so perfectly. Like it's honestly, it has the puzzles and stuff. There was a little bit of jank when I played. I think it's been fixed as far as like doors and weird wonkiness. But the pacing was like, the puzzles were done well. The scares were done well. There's some of the stuff is dynamic, so some encounters just won't happen in some cases in your game. It's, man, if you're a horror fan, if you love Resident Evil games, especially the older, especially like, I guess 7 especially, but even going back to the old school Resident Evils, like you're not fighting zombies, but just going to the house, solving fairly organic puzzles. They're not like weird, crazy, like outlandish puzzles. Like it's all like finding pictures and moving things around. They're still challenging. It gets weird later on. Man, I could go on about Madison for a long time. Like Madison, as far as like horror game of the year, Madison, man, horror game of a lifetime. Madison was, that one. I had to take the heads off. I had to take breaks. I was just like, that's enough right now. I've had enough of this demon. I need to take 5 minutes here, collect myself, come back in. And I've never done that before with a horror game. That's not true. Resident Evil 7 with that damn dad. He played with me. He played with my emotions. Where he's, yeah, I'm going to get you, boy. Just close the door. But Madison was a lot more, I guess, consistent as far as scares. Like Madison was trying to scare you. It was trying to unnerve you. It hit stuff in the dark, like in those blacks, and it just, Madison just worked fantastic. It was so good.
I tell you, when that guy came out, I'm gonna get you, boy. I had to pause the game and go hide all the Vaseline jars. I was like, you ain't getting it near,
dude. I remember opening the door and he was in that big, the main lobby, and he's like, "There you are," and I was like, I just closed the door and I was like, "Okay, what do I know he doesn't open doors, but like, what do I do here?" And I had to like figure out what the hell I was gonna do. I had to fight the guy, and man,
it's interesting because it's like there's a lot of games that like some people are mentioning and stuff that I kind of like didn't even make my list. And I was like, oh yeah, because they came to PSVR 2, like they're not 2024 games. Like to me, they're not.
Yeah, I mentioned Vertigo Savage Gamer. I mentioned Vertigo Savage Gamer. I did.
Yeah, because it was there in the beginning, but like Vertigo 2 and even like like Savage also mentioned what you call it? Oh my gosh, why am I pulling a total blank on this? I'm just oh my gosh, I'm having a complete meltdown. But yeah, there's a few games that hit PSVR 2 like later on in the year, and it's just kind of like forget that they're even like oh yeah, Into the Radius 1, that's what it was. And it's like if you're a PSVR owner, these are big deals, especially like I think
Speaking
Into the Radius.
Which, Into the Radius 1 PSVR 2 code incoming.
Woo. But anyways, yeah, there's been quite a few PSVR 2 games that got some of their the best versions on PSVR 2, or at least pretty darn close. And well, I mean, Subside, I guess, is it's all happened in this year, but that's another one that was on PSVR 2 or after it was on PC already. There's been some disappointments this year as well. Like, I mean, off the top of my head, I would say, like, I know some people like it, but like Starship Troopers.
Which, by the way, I think Shadow dropped on PSVR 2 and isn't cross-play, apparently. So I mean, no one's playing it, and it's basically DOA, which is unfortunate because I think the game does deserve some love. I gave it, I think, a 7 out of 10. It's not a bad game, but
I mean, it's not like like for example, like it's not even remotely in the conversation of the top 4 that we started the show with.
No, it's filler.
But like, so that I feel like that was a bit of a disappointment. I feel like obviously we can't talk about disappointments without talking about Hitman on Quest. Although,
what are you talking about? That was amazing.
I mean, yeah, and I mean, and it's feel like
dude, it killed the studio. That game killed the same studio. The same studio, Starship Troopers. Like, not a good look for I can't remember the name of the studio now, which is ridiculous.
Is it X-Real, right?
Yeah, X-Real Games. Thank you.
Well, I mean, and it's such a shockwave through them that they also ended up delaying Zombie Army, And I think that was also because Zombie Army was like, from anyone who tried it at the shows, it was like, not good. And they can't, I don't think they can afford another failure, right? And
Mm.
and so, like that's tough. But I mean, that was, you're right. He like basically killed the studio. That's funny, but it's true. I think like that was such a big level up for them. I mean, don't forget, this is the studio that did like Zombieland. I know you liked it more than I did, but I'm sorry, but you don't go from Zombieland. Like, who thought that they were the studio to take on Hitman for the Quest?
It's so weird. Well, apparently IOI did, and apparently I mean I like look I still published the game. Like, or did they? Actually, I don't think they did even publish the game. But the fact that they basically apologized for the game right after it came out. I know there was a patch and everything else, but like I mean, as far as I know, I haven't heard anything positive about Hitman 3 on Quest. I mean, the second they announced the PSVR 2 version, I was like, thank God. Like, I was so looking forward to diving back into Hitman 3. And even though I knew the Quest version would be a huge step back, I thought, look, if they get the controls right, that's going to kind of honestly make up for a lot of the shortcomings that the PSVR 1 and PC versions did, because neither version handled VR properly. So I thought, oh my God, if Xreal does do this right, it'll make up for some of the jank. Well, the jank was actually over the top ridiculous. Popping like you would not believe. And the controls were still not quite there. And that was still disappointing. And now apparently with the PSVR 2 release, so attempt number 4, boys and girls, IOI apparently will get it right this time, according to them. So I'm really curious come March if this game is actually the VR version that we've been waiting for the last, 3 years, 4 years? It's ridiculous how long it's been to get a proper working Hitman 3 game.
I'm gonna guess that they're gonna nail it. I think that's why it got delayed. I'm gonna guess that if I'm IOI, like that's your game.
Dude, IOI, but they made the same promise. They made
the
exact same promise for when the PC version came out. They were like, "Hey guys, we fixed it."
Yeah.
And they didn't. They gave you 2 arms, but your one arm was essentially vestigial. It didn't do anything. It was stupid.
I know it was stupid, but and maybe I'll eat these words. But I'm gonna guess that like IOI.
I hope you're right for the record.
IO.
IOI.
Is it IOI? I just thought it was IO.
Oh, anyway. It's IO Interactive. Sorry, okay. IOI is the bad guys in Ready Player One.
Yeah, okay, you got me saying it wrong too. IO Interactive. They're working on a Bond game right now, and so
right, I forgot about that.
Right, that's their new big thing. But
yeah.
But Hitman's that's their flagship title. That's what made the studio. That's what they're known for. And I'm gonna guess that like Hitman on the Quest tanking hard. That's like a real tarnish. That's like that. I mean, I'm sure no one's gonna remember it in like T-1 year, but it's still a hit to their legacy, and I'm gonna guess that they wanna make sure that like there's a VR version that's like worth mentioning, and so hopefully they're gonna get that and and do it right.
Do it right.
Do it. So that was a disappointment in 2024 for some people.
I mentioned it before, but I mean Bulletstorm as well. I mean, I know they've it's a game I need to come back to and play, but man, that was brutal. To me, it was brutal when it launched. I gave it a 3.5 out of 10, I think. I hated that. I played through the whole damn game and I struggled the whole time. It was so not fun. And I know they've patched it since then. I think they added a new wave mode as well. And apparently it's better. I think they added in like because I didn't realize it was like edited. Like they actually cut scenes for like actual cut scenes because they were like a little bit too much for modern woke culture. And apparently they put those back in there as well. Like apparently it's more true to the original now than it was before. But man, when that thing launched, I was so disappointed. Like I didn't play Bulletstorm when it came out. So I was like, yeah, like I don't care if it's a 10-year-old game, but giving me the VR treatment of that, I'm down. Like, I mean, it's how I played Resident Evil 4 for the first time. So I was like, heck yeah, let me play these games I missed the first time in VR. And this is like, oh, I can see why I didn't play it the first time because this is trash. Anyways.
I was actually going to correct Savage, but the chat's taking care of him. That's not 2024. Dumbass.
What's that? What do you say? What do you say?
What about Resident Evil 4? No one's mentioning Resident Evil 4. I was like, I'm just gonna wait. We're gonna wait. Someone's gonna tell him. Anyway,
Whoops.
Like let's talk racing games. We got V Rider, we got Exo Cars, and we got Mud Runner. At least they're vehicle games. Mud Runner was, like we're talking about those big four that were all kind of like, was the three that were all like known IPs. Mud Runner was, I think, ultimately kind of an experience. It was the Sniper Elite of the Mud Runner series, but it was better than I thought it was going to be. It was like it was like a taste tester of Mud Runner in VR. It is what it was.
It's not a racing game though, right? Like
It's a vehicle game. It's a vehicle game. You're driving around. But then more recently, Exocars. Did that ever come out for PSVR 2?
They just announced something else today about it. Still like, in the process of getting
remember
done.
Last I heard, it was like they were on their third, and this was like 6 weeks ago that it was like their third. They failed their third QC or something, and it's like, so what the heck's going on? Maybe it could also be the fact that they got a lot of criticism. Like, if you watch my review, it was like it's okay, but like, it was like there was issues. Like it was just like, there's one car, the tracks are okay, the control methods are all a little wonk in their own ways, including force feedback that's just a joke. I know they've patched that on PC. I haven't revisited it. I don't know if they've actually fixed it, but it was a joke. Like, it was like, and I heard they were told so before, even by people who were beta testing, saying don't do force feedback, don't even do wheel support unless you know what you're doing, and it's not. And it's like,
I mean, I played it with you. It was fine.
but like
I didn't play the wheel.
like I
you
said,
play with the wheel.
If they're smart, they're not just trying to get that PSVR 2 version out the door. I think they should just wait and fix the game. Listen to the comments, because there's a good game there. And just like, get the game where it needs to be, because they've got these grand ideas for new biomes and new cars and different modes, and if you can get that out so there's a little more content, and because they want to do like online tournaments where they're giving away prizes from like Kiwi peripherals and stuff like that. I mean, that's cool. That could be really cool. Like, and they like chase the leaderboard type of tournaments and stuff. But like, just I mean, look, this is nothing new, but it gets so tiresome when games get dropped and they're just not ready. And it's like, are you playtesting? Are you listening to anyone? Like I don't know. I would say out of the 3 games though is V Rider. V Rider was solid. I know that you didn't really. I don't think you even played it, but like,
I'm not a racing guy, so it takes a lot to get me behind the wheel.
But I've been screaming for years. Someone do a bike racing game in VR, and I know it's coming to PSVR 2 and PC, I believe. And right now it was only on Quest, and even as a Quest game, it looked pretty darn good. I sucked at it. I really suck at bike racing games though, because it's pretty simmy, and you can't just throw your back end around a corner like you can in four, when you have 4 wheels. And so I sucked really bad at it. But it feels fast. It looked good, and it was licensed, and and it had I actually really need to revisit it. I know they patched a lot into it, but V Rider was awesome. Actually, I would say it was surprisingly decent, because when a small studio takes on a sim racing game, you're like,
Let's see, do I have any V Rider codes?
You do.
Do I?
You do.
Found one. All right, there we go. V Rider it is. I also see Mud Runner here as well.
But
V Rider coming up.
Woohoo! So that's how I felt about racing games in 2020. Oh yeah, I guess we got to talk about WRC on PC. I mean, I don't actually know where it's at right now. WRC, when it came out, the VR version released in beta. Like, they were very upfront about the fact that and I'm like, really? Can't you just make it good? It's like, and I'm like, and for all I know, I don't even know if it's ever gonna get past that. And it's just so you guys know, WRC on PC is made. Codemasters has the license now, so it's basically Dirt 3. And like, I played it. I was like, it had gorgeous visuals that just were a disaster in VR. Like, I mean, there was weird shit going on with like some of the stereoscopic stuff, and it was blurry as anything, and it just had performance issues, and it's just, no, it wasn't good. And I went back and played Dirt 2, and I was like, yeah, this is better. I went back and played Dirt 1. I was like, this is even the best. Like, I still think Dirt 1 is even though it doesn't have the lighting and quite the visuals of Dirt 2, I think overall it's just the best feeling driving game. Anyway, so WRC on PC, unless they've patched it a lot, is not worth mentioning as a racing game. It's not viable as a racing game. But I've talked enough. What else you got, buddy?
Some nice little surprises in there. Nothing that's like crazy, but like stuff like Zengens was one. Take aim with every breath was a weird kind of rhythm game that's a little more chill. Like it's kind of like Pistol Whip, but like a more chill Pistol Whip. I really like the EDM soundtrack. Something to maybe check out for you guys that care about that stuff. I mean, you played Ultimate Swing Golf, which I thought was pretty fun. We talked about that before in the pod as well. Just as far as it's everybody's golf, but on the Quest, it looks damn fine and sexy. Neon Squad was disappointing. I'm going through my list of things where
You know what is good, and I said this to you before, and I want to mention it because we only did a Horizon video. Neon Squad was like an XCOM kind of like take. Boo! I didn't like it at all. But you know what was really good is Augmented Empire. Now, this is only on Quest, guys, I believe. It was actually the heck did they call that? An Oculus Go game originally. And it's essentially been remastered, but it had money behind it. Like it's got like a really good voice cast, right? And it's like a narrative-based cyberpunk kind of game, and it's in that kind of tabletop fashion, right? As you go through rooms, but it's like XCOM VR. It's not the hardest game, but it's got like as you progress, you get like more team members that you can like choose, and they all have different different classes and attributes, and then you can level them up, and you can give them different upgrades and weapons, and it's full blown XCOM, and it's actually quite beautiful. Like it's a sweet looking game. I totally recommend you checking that out, especially if you're looking for something like if you're a lazy VR gamer like I am, and you want something that you can just kind of like chill and sit down, and then it's also got mixed reality if you really want to do that. Like if you want the Christmas tree in the background, just boo, and it's like it's a really nice, polished game. Like I said, it's not the hardest game, but it's a really good, fun, just chill VR experience. And like another, speaking of that, and I'm gonna completely forget the name of this game now that I think of it, was Witchblood. Thank you. Witchblood is another super surprising, chill VR game. It's like kind of a Metroidvania VR game, and it's awesome. I loved it. It's again like it's another game that's been remastered from, and I believe it was from like either the Go or Quest 1. I can't even remember, but it's
a Gear VR game.
There we go. It was Gear. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I
know things.
Did Stilt come out in 2024 originally? I can't even remember.
I skipped Stilt, which I think it was late last year.
People mention it. I mean, it's a cool, like, it made me kind of think of this is
March. Came out March this year.
Okay, here's a deep cut. It made me think of a PSVR 1 called oh my god, I was just talking about this with my brain.
Boo this man.
Jet. Oh my god. Jumping Flash. Jumping Flash. It was a PSVR 1 game. There was a Jumping Flash 2 as well. It was like a Japanese. What? It was like, what? You remember it?
No, I don't. And this is why I'm questioning you, because I remember all this stuff.
YouTube that. It's awesome. It was wicked. It's still cool. I looked at it like, I mean, it was like on PSVR 1, it was like a first person kind of shooter. You were like a jumping rabbit and you could shoot. And it was like you were jumping in the clouds, and it was an amazing platform. Amazing. Like, in fact, someone needs to bring it to VR.
It's an old PlayStation game, isn't it?
PlayStation 1. That's what I said.
Oh, I was thinking PSVR 1. Sorry. No, yes. No. My bad. Continue.
We're going way back, buddy.
Yeah. I got you.
Still kind of reminded me of that, but it made me like, I had to be... No. I don't want to use I had to be physical. And I played... I was like, oh, really? Like, I have to, like, do this? Like, this Gorilla Tag shit? I'm like, no. I don't want to move. And it's like, and then sitting was kind of awkward. So, I have to stand? I was like, gross. Like, I mean, I'm sure Stilt's good, I guess. Like, it just made me want to go play, like,
I've heard good things. I just haven't played it.
Another game I can't remember.
Batting 1,000 right now.
I know. It made me want to go play another game, and I can't think of the stupid game now. And I know we have it. I know it's a game that everybody knows, but regardless, I just didn't want to move my hands. Is really what it comes down to. And so you can thrash me if you want in the chat for being lazy, and I'll gladly take that. But anyway, you know, a game we didn't mention that I thought was also like pretty good was the Arizona.
Stride Fates. Oh no,
I
sorry.
was gonna say Arizona remake.
Arizona was good. Arizona remake I thought was nice. I like Arizona Sunshine 2 more than you for sure. Remake's fine. I'm glad the remake exists because the original is so dated now. Having did my side by sides and played those things, the original across all headsets is borderline unplayable. And that might sound harsh, but I'm telling you guys with rose-colored glasses, like go back and play Arizona Sunshine across any system. It probably works best with PSVR 2 and AIM.
I was just gonna say I'm just waiting for the people like, but the AIM.
Yeah, and I get it, but yeah, I played every single version of Arizona. I played the PC version. I didn't play the PSVR 1 version, but I remember that was move controller only, or no DS4. It was move controller and aim only, if I recall. Maybe DS4. I can't remember. Anyways, it wasn't fun. No method was fun. I remember playing through the store, playing through that as with the aim controller because every other method sucked. The Quest version is awful. Do not even go near the original. Like they should pull that from the store. It's not even a fun timepiece. It's just embarrassing.
Still in the store?
Oh yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And if you get it, you get it. I think you get the upgrade for $10. So maybe the price balances out if you want to, like, you know, if you're twisted and want to like a masochist. But like Arizona Sunshine 1 on Quest is god awful, and it's not much better on PSVR 2. PC version, it's actually PC version's hilarious. You can just tell, you can see what it was made. It was just it was made at a time before people knew how to make VR games. So there's no comfort settings. There's no, like, controls are just wonky. Where stuff is on your belt, just nothing makes sense in that game by modern VR standards. Like it's awful. Gunplay is so meh. It's not good. Thankfully, the remake exists, which basically fixes the game, modernizes it, makes it a lot prettier, and is way more fun to play.
I didn't miss the aim controller at all, to be honest with you. I actually felt that the game, and I know Savage is like, aim, and I know some people really cheerlead the aim. I don't miss the aim. I mean, I'm tired of the aim drift, and I mean, I liked it in Farpoint, and I liked it in
Firewall.
Firewall, yeah. And that's about
Sniper Elite. Sniper Elite. Come on, man. Nope. Give it some love for stuff. No, get out of here. Like get boo this man.
I should have liked it. I should have liked it, but there was too much two-handed stuff. I didn't like being locked to one hand, and you know, like. I just replayed the remake with a buddy. We co-op the whole thing, and I had a really good time. And I would say that, like, I just feel like the game works much better without the aim controller, because then you have the nice progression of one-handed guns to two-handed guns. Now they have manual reloading, and that makes a big difference. Like, it's just like, you know, like having a big hand, like a big Magnum or a Deagle in your hand, and being able to just be like eject, bang, click, and then blow it, and like they're squishier and they're gorier.
Do you remember how it was in the original?
Yeah, I know.
And just bring it to your belt.
Yep, and that's still there. That's still there. You can still turn that on, right?
So not fun.
I don't miss the aim. Not really. I mean, I don't. I like.
No, I mean proper VR. The aim was the solution to a problem.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly. I just gained too much with two-handed.
Yeah.
I definitely have great memories of it. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
We had some music. We had some music games. I mean, obviously, you had Beat Saber and Synthwave that are synth riders that kept throwing update after update, and they're just going from strong to strength to strength. Metallica hit Beat Saber. Yeah. Actually, I still think it's a kind of a weird fit. It's just like, as a big Metallica fan,
I haven't tried it yet, but I also agree it's a weird fit.
I don't know, like. I'm like, I don't know. I never listened to like Master Puppets and like, you know what I want to do with this?
Yeah, I agree. It doesn't quite make sense. But that being said, I'm happy that they're exploring other genres, because I was getting pretty tired. Yeah.
But speaking of,
One rhythm game too, as a Spin Rhythm.
oh,
I reviewed the game. I didn't think it was great, but man, my review got a lot of flack from a lot of people, which is why I'm bringing it up because I feel like I just wasn't the guy for this game because multiple people in the comments were just like, "Dude, bro, you don't get it," and there was enough people there. Where I was like, "I probably don't get it." So it's on PSVR 2. It's got you can play with the moves or the moves, the Sense controllers or DS4. It's got a ton of music. It's like 100 tracks or something like that. It's all EDM stuff. Some stuff actually was in my own personal collection, so like that wasn't. It's just I don't know. It's in the conversation. I think I gave it a less positive review than people would have appreciated, but here we are.
I like how Savage Gamer's like Sniper Elite is only good with the aim and all other versions suck. I know he hasn't played the PC version. Savage, sit on it. You don't get to comment on
Careful,
what
distracted. Your age is showing.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because I saw Bone Thugs. I was like, yeah, so do I. But it's just like Savage, you don't get to comment on the best versions if you haven't played all the versions. Because PC is still the best version by a long shot for Sniper Elite. The aim doesn't save it. Sorry, buddy. In my opinion. But speaking of Metal Hellsinger, it got nominated for like game contender of the year in the Game Awards. I thought it was kind of an odd inclusion.
Oh, it was an odd inclusion. There's no denying it's not included. I don't give like I even played it and I was like, what? Like I watched your review, I've seen the gameplay. It does not look like a VR Game of the Year contender by any stretch. But once again, I guess I haven't played it, so I should shut the hell up.
Well, again, it's definitely the best on PC. And I don't mean to sound like snobby, but it just is because you could crank up the resolution on it, and it had it didn't have reprojection. It just was the best version of the game. It had all the effects rocking and rolling, and then it was like then PSVR 2, and then Quest was actually pretty weak because it was missing a lot of the lighting effects that actually really hurt you in actually trying to like time things and stuff. It wasn't great. But as a metalhead and way beyond like Metallica, I love the soundtrack. It's got all original music. It ebbs and flows to the combat. And I mean, it really is. It's like a metal music game with original music worth just listening to, like to listen to. Like it's cool. And I did have the problem with like trying to edit footage because my head kept just like going to it, and especially when it really kicked in, right, with breakdowns and solos. And it had, if you know who like Soilwork and Trivium and Arch Enemy and Dark Tranquility is, like if that means something to you, then this music is aimed at you. And then it's like that mixed with like Doom 2019 and Doom Eternal kind of like gunplay. I wish it was more violent, and honestly, having to do everything in rhythm to be good makes it really hard. Like if you just want a Doom shooter because it sure looks like it's going to be one, it's not. And if you just want a music rhythm game, it's not. You have to want the two of them. And I don't know. I mean, I downloaded the DLC because I like the music, and I just wanted to play it to hear the music. But I don't know. But I mean, the last music game I wanted to mention, and probably the one that's I think is the most worth mentioning, is Trombone Champ. And you know what? You're talking about games that I sat with and reviewed. I gave it a 9.5 out of 10. I mean, I thought that game it's from Flat to VR Studios. I think it was polished as fuck. And it has been, it's exactly what I thought it was going to be. I have literally passed that headset around when friends come over, and I can't wait for Christmas to throw people. And everyone who's played it has a blast, and they laugh their ass off. And everyone who watches them play and listens to them play laughs their ass off. The only thing I'd wish I'd pushed a lot harder, and I don't actually know, I know it got a big patch, and I don't know if it brought it in yet, is that the music is like, it's all old-timey classical music with some original stuff that sucks. Like 80% of the soundtrack is all like old school, like copyright free, because it's been like all like classical music and stuff, and they're fun to play. But I really wanted, it's supposed to be getting a custom mode so that people could make songs for it, like popular songs, and then upload them so that you could play them. I wish I'd knocked her down to an 8.5, because without that, it really doesn't have the legs, I don't think. And I don't know if it's got that yet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I haven't played. I'm actually looking forward to it. Every time I see clips of Trombone Champ, I laugh my ass off because it looks absolutely ridiculous in all the good ways that word means. Like it looks so damn funny.
Like,
Um, go.
sorry, just to finish my thought. All you need to do to like understand what I'm getting at is go to YouTube, type in Trombone Champ because it's a flat game, right? Originally, and there's so much custom music for the flat game. And all you have to do is listen to like you haven't heard like Linkin Park's in the end until you've heard it played on the trombone. And like like Slipknot, you know, on trombone. And like in all these games, I mean all these songs rather, like people have made so many like they've done all the charts for it and it's amazing. Like in the end it's like do 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 do. I'm like it's hilarious. Like and it takes like that humor factor and just skyrockets it because we all know what those songs are supposed to sound like and then you butcher them on trombone. So I'm curious to know if because I heard it was coming. It was supposed to launch like when like because we got the game like a month ahead. It was when it launched. It was supposed to come with the custom mode built into it. And but anyways, it's that was a gem. That was a hidden gem, to be honest with you. Speaking of hidden gems that are funny, Human Fall Flat. I mean, I played it in single player mostly to review it, and I had a lot of fun with it. It's a stupid game. You see it in flat, but I can totally understand why it's been so popular as a streaming game because it's kind of a physics/puzzle game, but it's so much fun to play. It's goofy on your own, but in co-op, up to 4 players, like you and I played it, and just in the brief time that you and I played it, I mean, I had a blast. Like when you hugged me and you wouldn't let me go, and I was like, no, like this is not consensual. and and then having to like pull you up by your head off of ledges that you couldn't climb up of. And it like, it just adds so much fun. I know people have been playing it co-op in the VR community with the four people, and it's like, and I'd be shocked if they're even doing the puzzles.
Yeah. No, it was a good time. I hopped in there. I didn't know what to expect. I wasn't familiar with the game at all. And the trailer looked funny, but I actually thought I thought it was going to be first person. I thought that's their doing with the game was doing the VR port to first person, which apparently is coming. You can play the first person version on PC right now. It's in beta though. But I had a blast. It's those physics-based puzzlers in the vein of like Gang Beats? I think it was a very similar game as far as the way the physics worked. It's a great time. It's fun by yourself. I played by myself for a bit, but it's way funner with a friend. It is so stupid, and it's just 2 players, right? Am I crazy?
4.
Is it 4K?
I wanted to mention the codes, and I keep meaning to mention this. I've been meaning to mention it for an hour. Guys, I would definitely ask if you've gotten a code, just maybe let some other people get codes. I mean, I know that like some of them are just people are gonna be like, no, me. But I'd love it if you guys or wait until it's a code you really want. Because that would be great. I mean, obviously we're starting to get to the more like the close of our pod. We might slip a little longer here, but guys, just let your fellow people get some fun in there. But yeah, Human Fall Flat VR is I would say like a hidden gem this year. Like some people, I said in my review, people are gonna like straight up judge it as just like, oh, look at the graphic, boo. But the marionette controls where like it's third person, but you have the arms, like the controllers are your arms, and they grab everything, whether it be people or things, and like you can play with the physics, like where there's weighted physics, like it's actually got pretty decent physics. Like there's a little bit of that like janky fun built into the physics, but like there, like kind of like if Boneworks was a third person game and like in the style of Human Fall Flat, like there's definitely some similarities there, especially the way that like you kind of like the puzzles, like things have weight and like it's just it's a fun game to just mess around and experiment with, and like it's visually, yeah, it's not impressive, but like there's a lot of content there's a lot of maps, and it's just a really fun game to screw around with. I mean, I would say that if you got a buddy, it's like almost a must buy for the two of you to go in and screw around because it's fun, fun, fun. Um,
I got a game here for you.
oh
Don't
yeah.
you worry here, buddy. One thing I want to touch on here, and I'm gonna give you a code for it as well. If I can find a video here, I got it. Yay! Is Triangle Strategy.
Ah, I
This
forgot
game came
about
out on the Switch a
yeah.
couple years ago, and this is from Square Enix. So this is a full-on like tactics style, like Square RPG, and I love that this game exists in VR. It can be a little tedious times. There's a lot of reading and stuff involved. Like we're just sitting there just watching cutscenes unfold. But this is like a 30 plus hour game, and I'm still engrossed. I'm still playing through it even now, and I am loving every minute of it. Like once I got past the whole idea of just like, okay, there's like a lot of talking here, and especially the beginning, it's very Game of Thrones, I guess, in that there's just so much story and so many characters. You're like, you just don't even know how to be engrossed in the game because you're just like, I don't know what's going on. But then once the story starts falling into place, once you start kind of learning who these characters are, it becomes like I said, it's Game of Thrones esque in its storytelling and beyond, and the amount of options you have for like just strategy, tactics, characters, and just that classic cell shaded art style, or not cell shaded, rather pixel art style. It it pops in the headset. It's great, guys. If there's any fans of like classic turn-based RPGs, this Triangle Strategy honestly surprised the heck out of me with just how fun I thought it was. I had a great time with it.
I actually really I like Demio made me a believer of turn-based battlers like that. I like XCOM, I like Mario Rabbids, like I'm starting to really like that type of game. I just need Triangle Strategy to come out with a non-Japanesey dramatic story-based version. Like it's just like I want to be able to go in there and be like turn off all the like weepy over dramatic music, all the crappy dialogue, and I actually don't want story.
Yeah, that's gonna kill you here, man.
I know
There's
that's the thing. I want to be able to skip it all. Like just get me into the combat. I just want to play through the game, like the game. I don't want to play your story. I don't.
Yeah, but that's you. That's
I know.
not
Like I know. And my wife, like my wife, will sit there with her brother, and they'll listen, and they're rewatching like Sailor Moon right now, and she's been playing this. She's been watching this Vox Machina show on Netflix. I mean, she loves that crap. I no patience for like Japanimation.
Yeah, then it's not for you. Then
I know it's not, but I want to play the game. I want to play the game part of it.
Tough luck.
I know. Wham. You know what? One of the things we haven't really talked about 2024 is I feel like we've really seen the birth of mixed reality games. Now, I would say that most of those games have only proven the fact that it's kind of gimmicky. Like, at least that I don't feel like it's like mobile games. I was like, oh my god, mobile games are gonna. No, they're not. There's like hardcore gamers don't care. Like hardcore gamers are still gonna hardcore game, and mobile gaming is always gonna have its place. I feel like mixed reality is pretty much gonna be that. It's never gonna replace anything. It's just another thing, and it's gonna be much more for like a lot of games are bringing in mixed reality modes just to have it. Like you can see the background while you play. I don't care. Like like for example, like Forever Bowl. It's like you can play it in mixed reality now. I mean, it's kind of neat. You can like literally put a bowling alley down your hallway if you have a long enough. And it's pretty cool. But that's all it offers to it. But there's been games like I mean, the biggest one is Walltown Wonder. I mean, I feel like that is like probably the most important mixed reality game I've ever played. Outside of, like there's been some cool games like some of these like, like like the Cabin game, where zombies, you like start crawling through your windows and all this and that. But Walltown Wonder is a game that's like the entire thing only works really in mixed reality. And like if you saw my review, I was bashing like hot air balloons across the room and like spraying the floor to reveal mushrooms, and then like all building on all the walls of my house, and then like sitting on the carpet and like watching the little characters like do swimming and diving competitions and fishing, and it's just the way it interacts with it is just like it's mixed reality as that, to be honest. And until that, developers get access to more of your room data, it's about as mixed reality as I think it's gonna get. And I really enjoyed it. You know, I will say Distract, Forever Bowl, I love. It's it's kind of the walkabout of bowling, but I've got to say I played premium bowling with a buddy recently, and it's a much better bowling game. If you want a real bowling game, premium bowling is a bowling game. And speaking of real games, Miracle Pool is awesome. It's awesome. It's the physics are amazing. And it's a mixed reality game. Like you can literally just put a full-size pool table in your basement. And even the way the lighting on the table works is like I almost fell on the table multiple times because I went to lean on it. I mean, I know there's been pool games in VR, but this is the best pool game in VR. It's really good. It almost made me want to get you can get a pool cue attachment. Excuse me, for the Quest. I almost wanted to get one. But so there's been some great mixed reality games that have come our way, and it's given me hope for that. It's unfortunate because it immediately dates the PSVR 2 because you're not going to get in on any of that fun. I don't want to play those games black and white. I'm sorry, I don't. And so it's unfortunate that is the case. I don't know if there's anything else you really want to mention of 2024.
Nothing that stands out that I can recall. Those kind of, Triangle Strategy was my last big one. I mean, we definitely had some other games like Action Hero. I thoroughly enjoyed. If you guys, are looking for more super hot, definitely check out Action Hero. It's on Quest only. I'm not sure if there's plans for other platforms yet, but that one I really thought was done quite well. I mean, House of Da Vinci, if you're into puzzle games, it's definitely in the same vein as like The Room, where you're kind of going from like station to station and solving all the puzzles in one spot. I know it's not Chris's jam by any stretch, but I thought it was actually one of the better stationary puzzles I've played. It's not totally stationary. You do travel around rooms, but it's all node based. It's not like on paper, it's not a big sell as far as VR immersion goes, but the puzzles themselves are done wonderfully. It's a beautiful looking game. I've heard it looks beautiful on the Quest, and I've heard the PSVR 2 version looks is the best version of the game by far. That comes out next year. And really, I think no. I mean, Whitewater Kayaking came out. If you couldn't get enough kayaking PSVR 2, that does a fairly good job. It's definitely more it's faster paced than kayak. You're actually going down rapids and everything else. There's some jank to the visuals. It's not quite to the level of Mirage, but it's close. Like it's definitely no slouch that department. It's pretty fun. No, I think that kind of covers my highs for this year.
Game. We did miss a game, and I can't believe no one in chat mentioned it. And the only reason we missed it was because we didn't cover it. And I don't really remember.
Oh, Legendary Tales?
Legendary Tales.
Yeah.
And I think for PSVR 2, again, we were talking about games that hit PSVR 2 in 2024, but hit before. I mean, it was early access before, so technically it hit 2024 on PC as well. But Legendary Tales was a big deal for a lot of people. A lot of people really liked it. And I think that as far as melee combat goes, I liked it better than Behemoth. I think it's a better game than Behemoth. And it depends, I guess, what you want. But not everybody loves it. But I feel like they've really fleshed that game out properly. And playing with friends is a blast. And it's just a very enjoyable physics RPG kind of brawler. Like a hack and slasher, and I really enjoy it. I mean, for my money, I would play it over Behemoth. But I feel like one's kind of a dungeon crawler, and one's a kind of a full on linear campaign with some Shadow of Colossus thrown in there. So I don't really think it's an either or. I really don't. I just feel like I guess it depends on what your jam is. But anyways, we didn't mention it, and I thought that was something worth mentioning for PSVR 2. I really do hope that in 2025, PSVR 2 sees a lot more like just new games. Like
I feel like the end of the year
they got a lot of games that had already had their time, and then they just caught the PSVR 2, which is great for PSVR 2 headsets. but it's just like, I don't know, makes less of a splash because it's not new.
I think with the sales and stuff, honestly, like PSVR 2 now has had 2 sales. They did it for Black Friday and they just did it again for, or midday. Was it something else before then Black Friday? It doesn't really matter. They had two, like basically almost half off sales. And both those times we saw huge spikes in those sales, according to like just Amazon stats and everything else. Like sales went up like, like 1,000%, whatever the ridiculous number is. At that point in time, like drop the price, just keep it at that sale price. Keep this momentum going, keep these headsets selling, especially with the PSVR 2 attachment, which they're advertising. Like PSVR 2, I think is riding a little wave of momentum, like
The price,
with Aliens, with
the price
Behemoth.
and the games. It
Yeah,
might.
with Behemoth, Aliens, Metro, with Arcane Age coming out next year, which I think is something, a game that PSVR should be promoting. Don't leave it on Vitruvius Games. Like Arcane Age, without having played it yet, only based on trailers, looks to be an absolute gem and something that Sony should be advertising as being like playable only on PSVR. I know there's a Steam release as well, but like, who plays Steam games at this point? I'm just kidding, PC guys, don't yell at me. But I mean, PSVR 2, that should be an absolute gem. That just, it's like what can PSVR 2 that Quest can't? Well, Arcane Age is a perfect example of that. And then, Hitman 3, like they have potential to kind of get some momentum back and take the wind out of Quest and show what PSVR can do. Now that we're seeing, especially with the Pro, but we're seeing more developers, it seems like, using dynamic foveated rendering and using the Quest, the haptics a bit more, and just, yes, like use the technology that you told us you had. Make developers utilize that and show us what PSVR can do, because I feel like there is a wave right now, but Sony could easily just lose it just as quickly as they got it, because it's not like it's not a massive wave.
Yeah, I know. I agree though. Like Arkin, Aces of Thunder, and Hitman. Those are like literally all Q1 games. And
Yep.
if they all hit and they all have pro support, like and,
Gotta get
and,
a Pro.
and
God damn it.
I know, but if they're all flexing the pro, right? And they're really, because that's the thing, the PSVR 2, it's not all things VR. It's a gaming headset. It's
Yeah.
as all it does. It needs to do it the best. And it needs to not just be a little bit better. It needs to be the best. End of discussion. Like, I mean, obviously there's PC. PC's PC. But I feel like when we're talking about like mainstream VR, Quest, PSVR 2, it needs to be the best. And it needs to hit the ground running with that. And they gotta look at that price. They gotta look at that price point as a permanent thing, possibly. Because it's like, yeah, I mean the price point, it started to sell like hotcakes, right? And I think that's important to mention. Speaking of important to mention, and I hate to go back because I know we're summarizing. I can't believe I didn't mention this game because again, I didn't cover it. You didn't cover it because it kind of shadow dropped. Into Black.
Yeah, I didn't play it, so that was it's
Into Black. I'm sorry. I know I went back there. It's on Quest only. I hear it's coming to PSVR 2. I think it's made by Binary Mill, the guys who did Gun Club VR. They did Rush, which we all love. They did that Moto X GP, whatever the heck it was called.
Motor Racing X,
Sure.
whatever.
And I think another game I'm missing, but it is Into Black is an awesome game. And honestly, it's got the perfect aesthetic for Quest, even the lighting in it. I can't believe Savage actually didn't slap my hand for that. Because I didn't mention it. Oh yeah, he's talking about porn, that's why. But Into Black though, it's like you can play it co-op, it's single player, multiplayer. It's kind of like an extraction shooter version of No Man's Sky, honestly, and mixed with like Deep Rock Galactic. Like you're basically cave diving in a sci-fi way with, and you got guns and you got like all sorts of like loot that you go seeking for, and you can upgrade your character and upgrade all your weapons, and it's a heavy emphasis on shooting and movement mechanics, but adventure too. And you can like, and it's a looter shooter too, like basically, so you can like go back into like various missions and increase the difficulty and get better loot and upgrade your character. And like I said, you can jump in alone or on your own, and it's just a super high end game. Like it's like I really feel bad. We almost need to review that game to put the spotlight on it because Binary Mill hit it out of the park. I know it's got some issues, like some of the AI is stupid, and they may even patch that. Into Black, you need to check that out if you have a Quest 3. And a Quest 2. It's awesome.
And I believe it's coming to PSVR
It is. It is.
2 as
They,
well.
I think they said eventually they're looking at bringing it over. Eventually. But honestly, if you've got a Quest 3, don't wait. Because I honestly, with this graphical look that it has, I don't actually see it getting a huge benefit on the PSVR 2. Maybe some better lighting. But it's a really good looking Quest game. You can tell it was a game that was designed for the Quest, and they picked a graphic style that really works. It's super sharp. It's super polished. And the lighting, like you shoot these huge flares and your flashlight because you're in these dark caves. It's gorgeous, and it's just so good. It's so good. Yeah, it's great. It's honestly, it's gonna make my top 10 Quest games of the year easily.
Ooh.
I know it might even be, it might even be 5 or 6 after the big 4, right? Anyways, guys, it's awesome. And I know I kind of like brought us back into the games, and when Ryan was so beautifully summarizing the year, but I think that VR in 2025 is going to be rock solid. I mean, with the Quest 3S leading the Quest side of things, and if the PSVR 2 can hit it with some bangers and a good price point, and I think the controllers are being sold separately now. Woo!
I know it's Quest 2 owners that would be crying foul, but more Quest 3 exclusives are just gonna. We've seen what the Quest 3 can do with Batman
we need
VR.
Quest 3.
We need more Quest. We like this still. Batman was like, we need more mainstream attention, and we need more games that are on the level that people who don't play VR expect. And I feel like the Quest 3 has the power to deliver. I mean, we'll say the minimum, I guess, but it has the power to pull people in to VR with its untethered freedom, with no messing around with cables and everything else. It just, it's just its simplicity in use, and the fact that it can just do everything as far as internet stuff and games and social media stuff. There we go. But the Quest 3 and 3S really are, I think, we're finally to put a standalone VR that it can be adopted by the masses and not be rejected by the masses, as long as the games keep coming. So more VR in 2025, baby. I can't wait.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not trying to shill for the Quest. I promise.
Oh no, I'm not. This is I just literally said like I want
Quest,
PSVR. I want PSVR 2 to ride this and give us let us remind us why we have a PSVR. I want that. Don't get me wrong, but as far as the average consumer goes, the Quest 3 is just an easier buy.
Was it Rising Tide lifts all ships or some shit like that?
Classy.
But it's true though, and I'm like, don't forget the Quest 3S is more powerful than the PS4. It's in between a PS4 and a PS4 Pro. So like, yeah, like that's where like
sword. I mean, like, let's do this here a little bit, please.
I know. Okay, fine. But I'm just saying, like, it's worth mentioning that like that's what I want to see in 2025 on the Quest side of things. On the Quest side of things is push the Quest 3. Let's get mobile VR where it needs, like, as best as it can be. And anyways, so, and the PSVR 2, well, Sony, I want some exclusives. That's what I want for 2025. That's what my Christmas. I want.
We're getting one, whatever that one was for them. The one, I can't remember the name right now.
I don't care about that. Yeah, I know it looks cool. It's not a system seller. I want a system seller, buddy.
I know,
and I don't want it to be Resident Evil 9. I love Resident Evil games. Don't get me wrong.
I get it. I totally get it. I understand where you're coming from. I know.
Horror's not for everybody. Anyways, guys, I got a jet. I got a guy coming to my house soon to buy some shit, and I got a jet. So on that note,
drug deals. Yeah, guys, thank you so much. Thank you to everyone who tuned in for this whole year. All you guys are supporters across all of our various things. Once again, if you guys do want links to Quest games, just leave a comment below. I will get you those links as fast as I see them. And honestly, I think in the new year, I'm gonna try to get more affiliate stuff just from other VR companies as well that we can pass along stuff to. I think it's a good idea if we can pass along deals to that no one else can. So it's something we're gonna look into. We plan on revamping some things. I'm gonna look into getting our merch back, like higher quality merch. All these things there's things I want to do to make the channel bigger and better next year. Will it happen? Who knows? This is the most, we're very fickle, us two, but we're gonna do our best to keep doing what we do. We'll give you a review. At the very least, you get reviews in a podcast. That's my promise to you guys. Reviews in a podcast.
It's funny. Distract is like, oh, you're I feel.
Hey, talking to your mic.
I
There we
sorry,
go.
distract is like or saying, oh, he's a deal, dealer. You're not wrong. It's I'm selling some Quest shit, and it's like, hey man, I got your Quest stuff. You want some fucking gun stocks? So you want some facial interfaces? How about a fucking Quest? You want a fucking Quest charger? How about a fucking got fucking this? You want some facial interfaces? We got some facial interfaces for you.
All around you.
Seriously, it's like I got stuff. Anyways, guys, I love all of you. Thank you so much for staying with us for 100 episodes. And if you haven't watched all 100 episodes, fuck you. You should be watching them. Go back, watch them all.
It's like a trip down memory lane.
And honestly, guys, and for all of you guys who watch us and comment, and for our patrons, it's been awesome. It's been a fun ride. And 2024 has ended really, really strong. And 2025 is actually going to start really strong.
Yeah.
Regardless of what headset you've got. So we will be back, I would imagine. I'm just going to bring up my calendar here. We are only taking a Christmas break, I promise. I'm going to guess we'll be back on the 9th, because the next Thursday after Christmas is actually the 2nd, and I'm going to guess Ryan's not going to be in any shape worth getting on camera and talking about. I feel like that's not enough time for Ryan to get his self back together.
Okay, we can talk about this. We can discuss.
I'm
not planning any craziness.
Keep an eye on the community tab, guys, and we will update you on all things affiliate stuff and, of course, the return of the show. So, with that, have a good Christmas. Have a good New Year. Play a lot of VR. Lots and lots of VR. Share it. Share it with your friends. It's the most fun thing in the world.
Yes. Yes. Good job. Say goodbye, Chris.
Ho, ho, ho.
Yes, you are.
We're shills. Talk to you later.